This is Socially Triggered, and this video is going to be on white privilege. I want to give sort of the origins of it and also give you an understanding of what the original creator of white privilege believed and her privileges were. And let's sort of think about it and maybe debunk some of them. I'm going to go through the whole list and just read it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If somebody ever asks you about white privilege, and you'll know the answer of where it came from. So originally it was created by a feminist who was looking into what she believed was her white sources of white privilege. And she was a Wesley College professor, and she was doing research on women. And her name was Peggy McIntosh. She did this back in 1988, and it became sort of like a movement where people, sort of white guilt kind of arose out of white privilege. And the idea was this, that white people have certain institutional advantages in the United States and Canada and within the West. And that really, if you're non-white, you're sort of at a disadvantage for being of a different race than white. And so these were sort of outlining the natural privileges that as a white person in America you might have. Well, if you think about it, if you're in any nation where you're in the majority, you're going to have certain advantages. So there might be some truth to it. But it's not that it's institutional. It's not that it's like designed to be racist. It's just there are some natural advantages to being within the majority group within any nation. So let's unpack the invisible knapsack. So the first one is I can, if I wish, arrange to be in the company of people of my race most of the time. Number 2, I can avoid spending time with people whom I was trained to mistrust and who have learned to mistrust my kind or me. If I should need to move, I can be pretty sure of renting or purchasing housing in an area which I can afford and in which I would want to live. Number 4, I can be pretty sure my neighbors in such a location will be neutral or pleasant to me. Number 5, I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed. Number 6, I can turn on the television or open to the front page of the newspaper and see the people of my race widely represented. Number 7, when I am told about our national heritage or about civilization, I'm shown that the people of my color made it what it is. Number 8, I can be sure that my children will be given curricular materials that testify to the existence of their race. Number 9, if I want to, I can be pretty sure of finding a publisher for this piece on white privilege. Number 10, I can be pretty sure of having my voice heard in a group in which I am the only member of my race. Number 11, I can be casual about whether or not to listen to another person's voice in a group in which he is the only member of his or her race. Number 12, I can go to a music shop and count on finding music of my race represented, into a supermarket and find the staple foods which fit my cultural traditions, into a hairdresser shop and find somebody who can cut my hair. Number 13, whether I use checks, credit cards, or cash, I can count on my skin color and not to walk against the not to work against the appearance of my financial reliability. Number 14. I can arrange to protect my children most of the time from people who might not like them. Number 15. I do not have to educate my children to be aware of systematic racism for their daily physical protection. Number 16. I can be pretty sure that my children's teachers and employers will tolerate them if they fit school workplace norms. My chief worries about them do not concern others' attitude toward their race. Number 17. I can talk with my mouth full and not have people put this down to my color. Number 18. I can swear or dress in secondhand clothes or not answer letters without having people attribute these choices to the bad morals, the poverty, or illiteracy of my race. Number 19. I can speak in public to a powerful male group without putting my race on trial. Number 20. I can do well in a challenging situation without being called a credit to my race. Number 21. I am never asked to speak for all people of my racial group. Number 22. I can remain oblivious to the language and customs of the persons of color who constitute the world's majority without feeling in my culture any penalty for such oblivion. Number 23. I can criticize our government and talk about how much I fear its policies and behavior without being seen as a cultural outsider. Number 24. I can be pretty sure that if I was asked to talk to a person in charge, I will be facing a person of my race. Number 25. If a traffic cop pulls me over, or if the IRS audits my tax return, I can be sure I haven't been singled out because of my race. Number 26. I can easily buy posters, postcards, picture books, greeting cards, dolls, toys, and children's magazines featuring people of my race. Number 27. I can go home from most meetings of organizations I belong to feeling somewhat tied in, rather than isolated, out of place, outnumbered, unheard, held at a distance, or feared. Number 28. I can be pretty sure that an argument with a colleague of another race is more likely to jeopardize his or her chances for advancement than jeopardize mine. Number 29. I can be pretty sure if I argue for the promotion of a person of another race or a program centering on race, this is not likely to cost me heavily within my present setting, even if my colleagues disagree with me. Number 30. If I declare there is a racial issue at hand, or there isn't a racial issue at hand, my race will lend me more credibility for either position than a person of color will have. 31. I can choose to ignore developments in minority writing and minority activist group programs, or disparage them, or learn from them, but in any case, I can always be more or less protected from negative consequences of any of these choices. Number 32. My culture gives me little fear about ignoring the perspectives and powers of people of other races. Number 33. I am not made acutely aware of my shape, being, or body odor will be taken as a reflection on my race. Number 34. I worry about racism without being seen as self-interested or self-seeking. I can worry about racism without being seen as self-interested or self-seeking. Number 35. I can take a job with affirmative action employer without having my co-workers on the job suspect that I've gotten it because of my race. Number 36. If my day, week, or year is going badly, I need not ask for a negative episode or situation whether it had racial undertones. Number 37. I can be pretty sure of finding people who would be willing to talk to me and advise me about my next steps professionally. Number 38. Number 38. I can think over many options, social, political, imaginative, or professional, without asking whether a person of my race would be accepted or allowed to do what they want to do. Number 39. I can be late to a meeting without having the lateness reflect on my race. Number 40. I can choose public accommodation without fearing that people of my race cannot get in or will be mistreated in places I have chosen. Number 41. I can be sure that if I need legal or medical help, my race will not work against me. Number 42. I can arrange my activities so that I will never have to experience feelings of rejection owing to my race. Number 43. If I have low credibility as a leader, I can be assured that my race is not the problem. Number 44. I can easily find academic courses and institutions which give attention only to people of my race. Number 45. I can expect figurative language and imagery in all of the arts to testify to the experiences of my race. Number 46. I can choose blemish cover or bandages in flesh color and have them more or less match my skin. Number 47. I can travel alone or with my spouse without expecting harassment or hostility in those who deal with us. Number 48. I have no difficulty finding neighborhoods where people approve of our household. Number 49. My children are given texts and classes in which implicitly support our kind of family unit and do not turn them against my choice of domestic partnership. And last one, number 50. I will feel welcomed and normal in the usual walks of public life, institutional and social. So that's all 50. Wow. And I was pretty amazing there because I did not laugh because some of them were pretty weird and pretty crazy. Actually, I felt like some of them sort of more applied to if you're black. Actually, if you're black, you can really count on these. A lot of these I just can't even see. Like, I guess I don't have much white privilege because I almost feel like this should be a question and answer where, you wonder what the hell. Do you have like Band-Aids in your color? It's like, what the heck? So a lot of these I don't think I would have, and I'm kind of disappointed, in a primarily white nation of Canada where I live, that I don't have a lot of these. It's kind of sad. Um, my white privilege is lacking. I'm gonna cry. Um, my humor. Okay, so a lot of them I kind of got kind of I would actually say that they wouldn't apply to white people. They just wouldn't. Like there was one where they said, if somebody complains about racism, if they're white, that's okay. But actually, white people generally are not allowed to complain about racism towards themselves. Maybe Jewish people can, and they sometimes consider themselves white. But I don't think white people are allowed to complain about it. Like, people would say, "Oh, you're not allowed to be racist." But as a black person, you can complain and go on and on about racism. Everything's racist. It's fine to do that. So maybe a lot of these unpacked backpack things are actually more relevant to black people. So maybe it's black people that have lots of privilege, because a lot of these I really don't think would relate to any white people, at least not that I know of. I mean, some of them could. I could understand. Like, if you're in a majority country, you can easily go to a town. Like, a lot of them were just relating to other people of your race. Well, if you go to any community of, it doesn't matter where it is in the world, and there's a majority of whatever group. If you're part of that majority, well, of course, you're going to have people that you can relate to that are similar to you. That's just part of the nature of the society. And your culture will be sort of the dominant culture. That's kind of normal. But generally in the West, it's weird. We have actually a thing where we actually kind of try to give almost a preference to other cultures than our own. It's the weirdest thing, where we if a black person started talking about their culture, we'd all like keenly listen to that as if it's like super educational, because it is unique, where we don't necessarily get that experience, and we'd be interested in it. Whereas if a white person did the same thing, like everyone would just be like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like they just sort of laugh at you, because it's like it's the culture of the society that you're in, and like of course people are going to know what that culture is. Like, why are you explaining it? So there's a lot of like these kind of things that, sure, that like as a minority you might experience some of it, but it's not like it's geared towards making you feel bad. It's just that's the reality of being a minority in any culture. So it's kind of weird. A lot of these, and then a lot of them kind of had that institutional or structural, whatever they want to say, racism kind of thing. Like the cop pulls me over, or your IRS gets audited because of your race. I don't think that ever happens. The government's always chasing me for some crazy tax thing, and I always have to pay more and more taxes. Even though I pay my taxes on time, they still do that to me. Maybe they think I'm black. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. The government's always trying to tax me. I think that's a problem for everybody, actually, probably. So a lot of these, I'm amazed that I got through these. I just felt like screaming at a few of them, because they're pretty crazy. But this video is long enough. I hope you enjoyed it. I probably should make a second video where I go through each of them and just debunk every single one of them, because they're just so crazy. But I don't feel like doing that. It's just too much work. So there, my laziness is a reflection on my race. White people are lazy, just so you know. And this has been Socially Triggered. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out my other videos, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.